Hello! So today we're gonna be learning how to do a paradiddle while drinking Monster energy drinks. So I love this one. This is one of my favorites, the Valentino Rossi one, the Doctor. Tastes like a Fanta, a nice refreshing, if you will, flavor of Monster. Not really typical, but that's the good part in my opinion. So this is what we're dealing with today. And let's just crack this one open. Cheers. Um, nice, very nice citrusy, refreshing flavor mainly. I'm gonna set this one down on my coaster. There we go. And we're gonna be learning paradiddles. Now you need two things for this. First is a pair of drumsticks. These are really cheap ones. I got these from, I think, Timu. Like, really, you don't need expensive sticks for this or anything, I think personally. And I have a practice pad here, worn down Evans Real Feel, small one, double-sided. But in reality, you just need a surface. You don't need a practice pad. And what we're gonna do, take our sticks, and do a basic paradiddle pattern, which is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Now, of course, this is gonna be inverted for you because it's mirrored, but you just want to do that consistently. Try to get all hits consistent over and over again. Like that. Now you can go to practicing it faster after a while, after you got it down, after you get the feel for it. Now, I'm not really that good at these yet, not at a Travis Barker level where he just but you will get there eventually, and these are really good for doing more creative, a little bit different, or maybe even making some fills like easier on the whole drum kit. So be sure to practice these regularly. Now you can also just use the surfaces that are at your disposal to make this more fun. For example, just keep the right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left going. Yeah, let's take another sip of this refreshing beverage, alcohol free, just kind of high in caffeine, but cheers. Never disappoints. Never ever disappoints. Let's do it a bit faster now that we have our energy in. Lovely, lovely, lovely roll we got going on there. Do a little bit more of this, enjoy a little bit more of this monster. This one also doesn't get stuck in your throat, like you don't get that sugary, gooey feeling immediately. Really nice, really perfected flavor, I think. Especially against some of the other ones. I think they're not really close to this. This is definitely on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd say a 9. It's really up there. Really good, especially in the summer. If you get this in the summer, excuse me. If you get this in the summer and really like leave it in the fridge for a long time. Immaculate, like refreshing, energizing. If you're doing yard work, amazing. So let's get back to the paradiddles. Excuse me. Yeah, just also use any pair of sticks. Really, none of this matters. I personally feel like very little things actually matter when you're practicing, at least only with sticks or just like patterns. The main thing is that you just keep practicing, even in like almost any circumstance. Like for example, without the practice pad, there's less rebound. You just have to keep working on the fluidity, on the technique, regardless of the conditions that you're given. Let's just do one more repetition of this. Because I think that's really important, because you won't always have your drum kit, and usually venue kits are kind of bad, like really bad. I find that you have your snare, you have your cymbals. That's really the most important part, and that's really nice. But you really got to be able to work with less rebound, considering that some of the toms usually are pretty dead, or like the heads are basically have been dead. I think in Slovenia at least for like 10 years, 4 years at least, since they changed them. So you got to be ready for anything. Now this was a little bit faster, but not as tight as the other ones. So it's also important when you're practicing to try it quieter, try it as loud as you can. So really just go through every possible situation that you may have to encounter in the case of playing. I think that's really important when you're practicing patterns, or just generally in practice. And like this monster, even though it's one of the carbonated ones, it still has the fizz. It goes down really smoothly, even when it's super cold or when it's like lukewarm. For example, this one, amazing flavor and mouthfeel. The consistency is really whoa. The consistency is really good. Let's move back to the practice pad and try some more paradiddles. You just saw one of the single, the two single strokes in between the double strokes was not really there. But yeah, I also, another thing that I'm noticing right now, these sticks, I have a pair of sticks at home usually just for practicing, and these sticks right here, I used them the last time my band had band practice, so it's really obvious. Like, as you can see, this one still has a whole tip, and this one was only, basically I use only one stick, of course more on the snare drum. The right hand one is more on the cymbals, and it's really obvious with me. And these are really cheap sticks, so they get used up and damaged pretty quickly. You can see the snare stick, whole tip, a little bit damage on the stick shaft. But on the one I had on my right hand, and I play the crash a lot, like really a lot. And I, when playing blast beats, I really tend to dig into the bell. And we have a couple of parts with my band, Smurt, where I really have to dig into the bell. The tip, if we compare the two, the tip on my right hand stick is gone. So, and it's also like really like turning to sawdust slowly. So that becomes an issue pretty quickly. and you get different rebounds now with these sticks. You know, single strokes, double strokes, whatever. And here when we're combining them, that becomes more obvious. And that's why I think it did make a difference when I was hitting my bed with no rebound. But it did make a difference when I was hitting the practice pad, which actually gives, I wouldn't say practice pads give realistic snare rebound, but you know, it's closer to an actual drum. And that's why the difference is really more noticeable. Not good. Now that was better, you know? The key thing is just to keep working on stuff. Like for example here I noticed that at this speed, with this pattern of bed, I got this part wrong several times. So the key thing is not to be like, oh man, I suck at this, blah, blah, blah. Work on it. You can work basically through everything, most everything, with enough practice. You can do it. And it certainly helps if you have a little energy boost here and there. Woo! Like butter. So yeah, it's, you know, connected to MotoGP. Now I personally do not follow that sport at all. I'm not that interested in motorbikes. I'm way more of a car guy, if I'm honest. But just I think this has transcended the grasp of motorbike racing, and just become its own entity at this point. Woo! That's some good stuff. Also sometimes if you get lost, just try to say what you're actually playing in your head. Now that's, I find that to be a really common way I naturally go about playing them, just getting the first hit a bit more pronounced, a bit accented, if you will. And I find that comes natural with the pattern itself. Like, because like the two strokes before the single stroke, like the double stroke, single stroke thing, it really allows you to get a better swing of that initial stroke, like the right, left, right, you know? Now, you could also accent both of the single strokes, so you get cool as well. I just prefer the one, just the one accent. You know. I really don't practice these enough, but you know what my point is. The main thing is you should practice them. It's a really simple pattern. It comes up all the time between the snare and the bell, between the hi-hat and the snare, between different toms, like tom fills or like arrangements you want to play on your kit. So it's really, really good to get this down as best as you can. I think, you know. So let's finish this. And that'll be it for drinking Monster Energy and teaching you about paradidles. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. practice and drink a little monster. Remember to keep practicing and enjoy a nice cold energy drink when the time is right. Bye.